What the happened in Super Bowl LVIII? The game was set to be a high-flying matchup between a proven elite QB in Patrick Mahomes chasing his third ring, and second-year QB Brock Purdy, who was taken with the very last pick in the draft a year prior, trying to prove his worth. On the first drive of the game, the Niners' offense looked to be humming, as their starting running back, Christian McCaffrey, who was having a career year, got 5 touches on the football before uncharacteristically fumbling it right as the Niners were knocking on the door in scoring position. Chiefs were unable to punish this mistake, however, as they were unable to move the ball much on their first possession, or even pick up a first down. Also, make note of San Francisco linebacker Dre Greenlaw. Watch how he was playing like a man possessed. Look at the way he was celebrating after each and every play. More on that later. On the Niners' second possession, Purdy looked poised as he found Brandon Ayuk over the middle on an intermediate throw before 2 consecutive offensive penalties ended up putting them at a tough down and distance of 2nd and 27, which they were unable to overcome. On the Chiefs' next drive, Andy Reid dialed up a nice handoff to Isaiah Pacheco to pick up a nice first down, but negative plays caused by San Fran's defensive hustle ended up pushing Mahomes and the offense back to 3rd and 15, where they were stopped short of a first down. The Niners then began their next drive, giving Christian McCaffrey 4 more touches in a row before Purdy made a few efficient throws over the middle to get them in a scoring position. However, a negative play and great coverage by the Chiefs stalled out the Niners' offense, forcing them to settle for a field goal, the first points of the game. The Chiefs' offense started to come alive after picking up a first down and a deep post shot to Mecole Hardman. Also, if anybody forgot, this was the Super Bowl where they decided to show Taylor Swift's reaction after every single play. Anyways, on the next play, Isaiah Pacheco lost the ball and the Chiefs came away with 0 points. Also, Travis Kelce was apparently angry that Andy Reid took him out on that play and crashed out randomly on his head coach. The Niners' next possession ended up being fruitless as they got stopped after only getting 1 first down. This is when disaster struck. Niners' young linebacker Dre Greenlaw popped his Achilles as he was excitedly taking the field. Up until this point, he and his teammate Fred Warner were flying around like tackling machines and having a hell of a game. This would prove to be a devastating loss for the Niners, and perhaps open a door of opportunity for the Chiefs. Not yet, however, as the next drive ended before it started with an intentional grounding penalty pinning them deep towards their own end zone. The Niners' offense continued to move efficiently with quick passes over the middle to Debo and then McCaffrey, who took a brutal hit and had to let Elijah Mitchell come in for a few plays before catching a screen pass on a trick play from Jauan Jennings for a touchdown. The Chiefs were now in a 10-point hole right before halftime, but this was nothing we hadn't seen them overcome before in the playoffs and even in previous Super Bowls. After a few efficient short gains by the Chiefs' offense, a penalty backed them up to 3rd and 9, but a nice throw on the run by Mahomes got them across midfield. A few first down conversions later, the Chiefs were knocking on the door, but Mahomes was sacked by Eric Armstead, leaving them at 4th and 6, where the most based kicker in the league, Harrison Butker, booted one through, making the score at half 10-3. The first drive of the second half for the Chiefs was full of miscues and mistakes, starting with a fumbled toss and ending with an overthrown pass by Mahomes intended for Kelce getting intercepted by safety Jair Brown, setting up the Niners with prime field position. Fortunately for the Chiefs, their defense stepped up and completely stopped the Niners in their tracks, pressuring Purdy and making him unable to find any open receivers. Chiefs started their next drive running plays from their own end zone and ended up quickly going 3 and out. Their defense, however, rallied again, forcing a quick 3 and out from the Niners as well. On the last play of the drive, Debo Samuel ended up injuring his hamstring. The injuries to key players started becoming a common theme for the Niners in this game. The Chiefs' offense finally started to get going again as the Chiefs put together a drive featuring 2 key runs from Mahomes, but ultimately they were stopped right at the edge of field goal range, where Butker put another 3 on the board. Chiefs defense stepped up once again, playing stout against the run and pressuring Purdy several times, leading to another punt. But the Niners defense ended up doing the same, forcing a punt of their own. This punt, however, would bounce from 28-3. I mean, guys, the Kyle Shanahan jokes write themselves, as it bounced off number 28 Darrell Luter Jr.'s ankle, and number 3, Ray McLeod, failed to pick it up before Jalen Watson of the Chiefs fell on the ball. On the very next play, after this enormous momentum swing, Mahomes found notoriously sure-handed Marquez Valdes-Scantling up the seam, and the Chiefs took the lead 13-10 nearing the end of the third quarter. The Niners' offense needed desperately to answer as Brock Purdy stood poised in the pocket and delivered several strikes, leading them to the red zone. After a missed throw and a few handoffs to McCaffrey left the Niners on 4th and 3 at the 15-yard line, Shanahan made a big nutsack decision to go for it, and it ended up paying off as Jauan Jennings willed his way into the end zone after catching a shallow crosser once again, giving San Francisco the lead. Once again, however, San Fran's special teams would fail them, is the man I'm going to name my firstborn son after, Leo Chanel, blocked the extra point after leaving the Niners with only a 3-point lead. Surely that wouldn't come back to bite them later. The Chiefs ended up methodically moving the ball on the next drive and ended up working their way all the way down to the 3-yard line before Mahomes took a sack on 3rd and goal, forcing them to settle for a 3 and tie the game up again. On the Niners' next drive, they moved efficiently, starting with a nice chunk play from Purdy to Jennings, followed by a series of rushes that got them into field goal range where they ended up getting stopped before Moody nailed another long kick again to give San Francisco the lead. Mahomes and the Chiefs got the ball with only 1:53 left on the clock in the 4th and got to work. Mahomes spread the ball around to several receivers as they worked their way deep into Niner territory and set Butker up with an easy chip shot to tie the game up with 6 seconds left on the clock and force overtime in the Super Bowl. Kyle Shanahan was about to end up on the wrong side of the only 2 overtimes in Super Bowl history. Surprisingly, after the playoff overtime rule changes allowing both teams to possess the ball no matter what in overtime, the Niners elected to receive the ball first. Overtime started with the Niners getting bailed out of a 3rd and long by a defensive holding penalty. After that, the Niners kept chipping away on the ground before Purdy found Ayuk on a chunk play. They mixed in some more runs, and then Christian McCaffrey got absolutely loose on a check down from Purdy for 24 yards. After 2 more first downs, San Fran was knocking on the door, but once again, the Chiefs' defense came away with a big stop after Spags called a safety blitz that freed up Chris Jones to force a throwaway by Purdy on 3rd and 4. Moody banged through another kick, making the lead 22-19 and putting the pressure on the Chiefs. The situation was score points or watch the Niners hoist the trophy. Chiefs' situation became even more dire as their first plays left them on 4th down deep in their own territory. But on 4th and 1, Andy Reid dialed up a read option play where Nick Bosa ended up chasing after the back and allowing Mahomes to keep it and pick up the first down and then some. On the next play, Mahomes found MVS open in the flat, but he ended up getting flung backward and lost his forward progress for a loss of 4. After finding him again on the next play to set up 3rd and 6, Mahomes found Rashee Rice on a mesh play for a big gain that got them into field goal range. After a few touches by Pacheco, Mahomes broke off a huge scramble that got them into the red zone. 1 first down and 1 Taylor Swift orgasm later, there were only 6 seconds left on the clock when the ball was snapped and the rest was history. Using the same fake jet sweep concept they used to fool the Eagles several times in the previous Super Bowl, Mahomes rolled out and hit Mecole Hardman, who scored, winning the Chiefs their 3rd Super Bowl title in 5 years. The Chiefs had just cemented themselves as a dynasty with these back-to-back titles. Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please subscribe to the channel for more. I'm going back in time and making a what the f happened video for every past Super Bowl. I also have a what the f happened video for last year's Super Bowl if you guys want to check that out too. Peace!